Warm greetings and welcome to this exuberant galaxy of intellectuals. I'm Numra Khan, a third year English Literature Honours student from BSSS, and on behalf of the administration, management, staff, and students of the Bhopal School of Social Sciences, Bhopal, India, and Christ College Autonomous, Irinjalakuda, Thrissur, India, feel elated in welcoming you all to a two-day virtual international conference on contemporary trends in world literature, language, and cultural studies in English language, sponsored by University Grants Commission under autonomy grant of BSSS. Language, literature, and culture can never be read exclusive of the others. We come together, complement each other, and add beauty and depth along with diversity, subsequently adding more meaning to human life, society, and civilization. In these doleful times of disease and distances, the search for meaning has become all the more important. In this world that is transforming into a global village, the varied cultures and languages are interweaving with each other, and literature is heralding this amalgam. This was the primary reason behind the conceptualization of today's conference, where we will reflect on the trends, metamorphosis, and confluence of diversities, while at the same time celebrating the rich tapestry of human emotion and imagination. Physically, we all are miles apart, but today we have gathered here together because we all have something in common. It's the desire to light the flame of knowledge in as many people as we can. We all very well understand the importance of this light of knowledge and its contribution towards clearing the darkness of ignorance. May I please request all our dignitaries kindly sit on their cameras and participate in the symbolic and customary lighting of the holy lamp and help in spreading the light of knowledge and faith.
Om Shanti 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 Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, everyone. All efforts of humans are futile if not supported by the Almighty. Let us all invoke the blessings of God and pray for the success of this conference and protection and well-being of each and everyone in this world through a prayer song.
Who am I that the Lord of all the earth would care to know my name, would care to feel my heart? Who am I that the brightest morning star would choose to light the way for my ever wandering heart? Not because of who I am, but because of what you've done. Not because of what I've done, but because of who you are. I am a flower quickly fading, here today and gone tomorrow. A wind tossed lost in the ocean, a vapor in the wind. Still you hear me when I'm calling. Lord, you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am. I am yours. I am yours.
Thank you so much, Shireen and Manshika. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce to you the organizers of this international conference. Located in the picturesque city of Bhopal that thrives in the heart of India is the Bhopal School of Social Sciences, popularly known as BSSS. BSSS was established in the year 1972 with a broad vision and aim of diffusing the right idea of work and human relationships to assist in the process of nation building and to promote an egalitarian society. Marching forth towards its golden jubilee, BSSS, been constantly striving for brilliance, is now emerging as a leading institute in central India, imparting undergraduate and postgraduate education. The Department of English, the host department of this workshop, works with a vision to empower students with the ability to express their ideas, present arguments convincingly, and to communicate effectively in English. Ever since its inception, the Department of English has been on an onward march towards excellence, promoting the use of English amongst the students of all faculties. I would now like to invite Reverend Dr. Father John PJ, Principal, BSSS, to welcome this August gathering with his wise words.
Very good afternoon to all present, online and offline. Dr. Father Jolie Andrews, CMI, Christ College in Inyalakuda, Dr. KJ Varghese, Dr. Shibani Basu, convener here, and all the participants of this two-day virtual international conference. It's a matter of joy for me to come across one more program between these two elite institutions, one down south and in the central India here. I was all the more delighted to hear that we have more than 800 participants and have received about 250 full-length papers, which in itself, I would say, is a matter of appreciation and a matter of pride for the organizers. I'm happy that we are, making our MOU with the Christ College in Inyalakuda alive by conducting timely programs like this. And research, as I believe, is the backbone of higher education. And without research, consultancy and training, as I also mentioned once before, higher education remains incomplete. And therefore, initiatives like this from both sides will make higher education more vibrant. I'm thankful to you, Father, for the cooperation from your side, from the college. And also, I believe as we study more about this world literatures and language, it will in itself bring out a kind of cultural enhancement among people. The best way to know one's culture, I believe, is to learn first and foremost literatures that will reveal a lot more about, the circumstances and environment in which the author had written a poem or a story or a novel. So this is a way of extracting the cultural ethos of different countries being international seminar. And I hope this kind of learning will bring in more appreciation for each other's cultures. Knowing is the best part or the initial part of any positive thinking and attitude. So I hope and pray that all the participants do their best in presenting papers, and also the outcome would be a fruitful and a rich one. Thank you, and all the best and God's blessings to all the participants today.
Thank you so much, Father, for this warm welcome. May I please take this opportunity to introduce Christ College, Irinjalakuda. Christ College, Irinjalakuda in Thrissur district of Kerala State, India, is an autonomous institution affiliated to the University of Calicut and managed by the Devmatha province of the Carmelites of Mary Immaculate. Established in 1964 on a lush green, eco-friendly 60-acre campus, the institution has been tirelessly striving to fulfill its mission of imparting quality education and thereby promoting intellectually competent, psychologically integrated, and morally upright and responsible citizens. The accredited third cycle with A grade in 2016 by NAC, the college was conferred autonomous status in 2015. The department of and bachelor's and master's in English literature in the self-financing stream. The department has always recognized and facilitated the study and teaching of language and literature ever since the time of its inception. It's a matter of great honor for me to introduce and welcome the chief guest of this conference, Mr. Alok Chatterjee. Mr. Chatterjee is an Indian theatre actor and director, a gold medalist from the National School of Drama, Delhi, for Best Acting. Mr. Chatterjee has a list of theatre productions to his credit, like Death of a Salesman and Nat Samrat. He has been teaching at the National School of Drama and Pune-based Film and Television Institute of India. He has also taught acting in the Institute of Anupam Kher, Actor Pre-Press in Mumbai. At present, Mr. Chatterjee, as a teacher in Madhya Pradesh Natya Vidyalaya, is known for his vast range of acting with deep literary understanding. We extend our most sincere welcome to you, Mr. Chatterjee, and would like to invite you to kindly grace this gathering with a few words.
Yeah, I'm unlocking.
Sir, please unmute yourself. Mr. Chatterjee, we can't hear you. Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
ओके थैंक यू मैं जल्दी से सब्जेक्ट पे आता हूँ क्योंकि ऑलरेडी लेट हो गया हूँ मैं वल्लभ भवन में चला गया था एक मीटिंग में आपने बड़ा अच्छा सब्जेक्ट लिया है और मैं अपनी बात हिंदी में रखना पसंद करता हूँ मुझे ज्यादा अच्छा लगता है हिंदी में बात करना ललित कलाओं के रूप का हमारी शिक्षा और लिटरेचर से सीधा सीधा संबंध है अगर हम देखें बिना लिटरेचर के कोई एजुकेशन पॉसिबल ही नहीं है अगर आप लिटरेचर बेस्ड एजुकेशन देते हैं वो एजुकेशन लेने वाले बच्चे और सिर्फ वो बच्चे जो अपनी किताबों की दुनिया में कोर्स की दुनिया में रहते हैं उन बच्चों में बहुत जमीन आसमान का अंतर होता है इसलिए जब हम दून स्कूल या सेंट जेवियर्स या सिंधिया स्कूल की बात करते हैं तो वहाँ एजुकेशन में लिटरेचर को ऐसा डाला गया है कि हर बच्चे को अपने कोर्स के अलावा साल में लगभग 20-25 किताबें एक्स्ट्रा पढ़नी पड़ती हैं अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट्स के ऊपर और उसको डिस्कस करना पड़ता है तो उसका एक इंटेलेक्ट लेवल पहले से ही डेवलप होना शुरू होता है जो हमारे यहाँ बहुत बाद में डेवलप होना शुरू होता है अगर इंटरेस्टेड हो कोई तो अब ललित कलाएं जो हैं ललित कलाओं में तो आप देख लीजिए गाने देख लीजिए गानों में क्या विष्णु जी नहीं है क्या कृष्ण कथाएं नहीं है गानों में क्या नज़्मों में इनकलाब नहीं है क्या आजादी के तराने नहीं है अगर आप डांस फॉर्म देखें तो डांस में कुचिपुड़ी जैसा या ओडिसी जैसा डांस फॉर्म पूरा का पूरा कृष्ण और विष्णु लीलाओं पर ही आधारित है कथक में भी इसको आप देख सकते हैं जहां तक आप सिनेमा या टेलीविजन की बात करें तो वहां पे बड़े बड़े उपन्यासों के ऊपर बेस्ड सीरियल हमने तमस देखी हमने कसब देखी हमने बुनियाद देखी ये सब उपन्यास थे। चरित्रहीन देखी श्रीकांत वर्मा देखा, चरित्र शरदचंद्र वर्मा का, ये सब लिटरेचर बेस्ड वर्क था। और हम हॉलीवुड में भी देखें तो वहां के भी बड़े सिनेमा में माइथोलॉजी से लेकर या लिटरेचर से लेकर सिनेमा को बनाते हैं, सीरियल को बनाते हैं। थिएटर तो पूरा का पूरा लिटरेचर बेस्ड ही है, इसलिए हम लोग प्ले राइट को सबसे पहले मानते हैं कि वो आदि कवि है, वो पहला रचनाकार है, उसने हमको रचना दी है। क्योंकि अगर लिटरेचर नहीं होगा तो हम अभिज्ञान शाकुंतल हो या हैमलेट हो, किंग एडिपस हो या ओथेलो हो, हम कोई नाटक नहीं कर सकते जब तक हमारे पास लिटरेचर का एक बेस ना हो, पोइट्री का एक बेस ना हो। लिटरेचर, पोइट्री और म्यूजिक मिलाकर थिएटर को बनाते हैं थिएटर। तो ललित कलाओं का एक सीधा संबंध हमारी शिक्षा से है, हमारे मनोरंजन और ललित कलाओं के विभिन्न स्वरूपों में है। और वो बहुत आराम से आप देख सकते हैं। अगर आप राजस्थानी मेवाड़ी शैली के चित्रभित्ति शैली देखें, मिनिएचर पेंटिंग देखें, तो आपको राधा कृष्ण की कहानियां पूरी भित्ति चित्रों पर अंकित मिलेंगी पेंटिंग के रूप में। अजंता एलोरा जाएं तो वहां पर आपको जातक कथाएं मिलेंगी आपको पूरी की पूरी। अगर अलग अलग मंदिरों को, टेम्पलों को हम जाएं तो वहां पे भी लिटरेचर और एजुकेशन को जन संस्कृति से जोड़ा गया है, ताकि वो सोसाइटी ओरिएंटेड हो, समाज ओरिएंटेड हो और समाज उसको समझ सके। आज जरूरत है हम सिर्फ एमएससी, बीएससी, एमफिल, पीएचडी, डीलिट ना करें, इसके पीछे जो लिटरेचर है उसका बेस चाहिए। देखिए सरकारी स्कूलों में भी प्राथमिकी में बाल भारती में प्रेमचंद की कहानियां पढ़ाई जाती हैं, मैत्री शरणगुप्त की कविताएं पढ़ाई जाती हैं, कहानियां पढ़ाई जाती हैं, महादेवी वर्मा की कविताएं पढ़ाई जाती हैं। हम उस उम्र में उनको समझते नहीं है क्योंकि हमारी समझ नहीं। अगर टीचर वैसा मिले जो हमें उसको वैसे समझा सके, शायद ललित कलाओं के माध्यम से कहानी कहने की शैली में ही जोड़ दे, तो हम बचपन से ही ज्यादा लिटरेट हो सकते हैं। और बिना लिटरेचर के मानव सभ्यता का कोई अस्तित्व नहीं है। मानव सभ्यता का पूरा विकास विज्ञान के साथ साथ, तकनीक के साथ साथ लिटरेचर का विकास सबसे पहले है, ललित कलाओं का विकास उसके बाद है। और फिर हम देख सकते हैं उसको कि कहाँ वो मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी में यूज हो रहा है। थैंक यू सो मच आज के सेमिनार के लिए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने मुझे बोलने के लिए इनवाइट किया और सभी का मैं अभिवादन करता हूँ। नमस्कार।
Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterjee, for joining us. Moving further, may I now take this opportunity to invite Reverend Father Dr. Jolly Andrews, CMI, Principal, Christ College, Irinjarakura, to welcome this esteemed assemblage with his pearls of wisdom. May I please invite Reverend Father Dr. Jolly Andrews, CMI, Principal, Christ College, Irinjarakura, to welcome this esteemed assemblage.
इसके बाद आधा घंटा बचा हुआ है, आधा घंटा बचा हुआ है, 12:30
ये करना है, इसको डिस्कनेक्ट करो, इसको डिस्कनेक्ट करो, डिस्कनेक्ट करो।
We invite Reverend Father Dr. Jolly Andrews, CMI, to kindly welcome this assemblage.
Ask Father, Mr.
Yes,
Varghese.
yes. Yeah. See, Father will be joining soon. Just
Okay,
one
okay.
minute.
Okay, waiting. Is it okay?
Yes, Father. You're audible, Father.
Okay, thank you. I don't know. I was in my computer. Something happened because of the display and everything. Sorry for the same.
It's all right, Father.
Most Reverend Father, Principal of Bhopal School of Social Science, the Honorable guest, Alok Chatterjee, who has just now spoken to us, about the importance of the, I would say, especially the importance of the light arts, the fine arts with regards to the literature. Father John P.J. is here. Then Dr. Shibani Basu Dubey, the convener from the part of Bhopal School of Social Science, Dr. K.J. Vakis, our convener, Professor Mary Pathos, who is the HOD of the Department of Functional English. And I'm very happy to know that there is a host of participants, around 80 presented here on these 2 days. The resource persons who will be speaking to us from different parts of the world. As Father Principal has rightly said, from the central parts of India and from the south parts of India, they're coming together. And we will be setting up, I would say, a new trend of working together, whereby definitely we can exchange our ideas, and definitely we can propose certain new factors to the world. And we have got this contemporary trends in the world, literature, language, and cultural studies in India. We will be speaking about it. So I'm very happy about this joint venture. Have a wonderful time. I know this is a unique opportunity where two of our schools have come together. Two of our schools are being, two of our colleges are coming together and proposing to the whole world about how we can move forward in a particular manner. So have a wonderful time. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Father, for this warm welcome. This conference is a culmination of a lot of efforts and contrivance by a team of dedicated individuals. I would now like to invite Dr. Shibani Basu Dubey, Head, Department of English, SSS, and convener of this conference, to kindly take the helm and deliver the concept note of the conference.
A very warm good afternoon to all the dignitaries present here and the participants who have actually made this event a success. Since the brochure was spread far and wide, I won't go into an elaborate detail of the concept note of the conference today. I'll just do the ritual of reading out the concept here for you people. The concepts of world literatures, languages, and cultural studies in English are widely discussed notions that are continuously being debated and redefined. Language, literature, and culture are actually inextricably intertwined. While the elemental function of language is communication, we all know that, its most eloquent and palpable manifestation is in the form of literature, which further nurtures and sustains culture. That is how these three develop a kind of an intertwined relationship, right? So humanities scholars all over the world are preoccupied with various ways of understanding language, literature, and culture. In addition to their interrelations and interdependence, the language and literature also gives birth to new ideas, approaches emerging from various disciplines like literary theory, philosophy, anthropology, linguistics, pragmatics, and discourse analysis, alongside technological revolution and socio-cultural transformations. We take pride and stand tall on one hand today, and on the other hand, we are humbled that the conference has actually witnessed a huge participation. And as Father John mentioned, that we have received approximately 800 registrations as participants and more than 250 research papers, which is a proof that you have trusted us with quality and content, and we have acquired complete cooperation from you all. We plan to come up with a peer-reviewed ISBN indexed books. I won't call it book because now it would be volumes of books which we will be coming up with, comprising of the selected papers as chapters in those books. Thank you once again for being with us, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We also have amongst us today a very eminent and esteemed panel of resource persons. Please allow me to introduce them. Dr. Abdul Ghafoor from IAIN University, Madura, Indonesia. Professor Paula Perez Lopez, Yes English Institute, Argentina. Dr. Rasha Yusuf from American University, Cairo, Egypt, Professor Kirti Kapoor, NCERT, New Delhi, Dr. Muralidharan Rayal, Chetna College of Media and Performing Arts, Kerala, India, and Mrs. Lalita Murthy, co-founder, Business Communications Facilitators Association of India. We graciously thank you all for joining us today and extend to you our warmest welcome. I would now like to invite Dr. Samina Azhar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, BSS, to kindly come and deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Noora. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Alok Chatterjee, our esteemed resource persons, Most Reverend Dr. Father Jolly Andrews, CMI, Principal Christ College, Kerala, Dr. Father John PJ, Principal BSSS College, Bhopal, our dear participants, presenters, faculty members, and students. It is an honor for me to get an opportunity to thank on behalf of two colleges. I extend my sincere gratitude to our honorable chief guest who has taken time from his busy schedule to grace this event. I offer my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished resource persons for enlightening us with their plethora of knowledge. We express a gratitude to the chairpersons of different technical sessions for giving their consent and agreement to chair these sessions, as without them, this conference would not have been possible. A special thanks to Dr. Father Jolly Andrews, CMI, Principal Christ College, and the captain of our ship, Dr. Father John PJ, Principal BSSS College, for being pillars of strength and support all through the planning and preparation for this conference. We are grateful to our enthusiastic participants for showing their keen interest in this conference. Without their involved participation, it would have been difficult to have such a vast representation pan-India. In the end, I must thank the organizing team, technical team, office staff, and the student volunteers of both the colleges who worked tirelessly to organize an international conference amidst the pandemic. I hope all of you will have 2 enriching days of literary interactions. Thank you.
I would also take the opportunity to thank Dr. Sister Sonia Korean, Vice Principal, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences, and Sister Aruna, the Certificate Course in Charge, Bhopal School of Social Sciences, for being here, for constantly monitoring us, and for helping us out in every possible way. We now begin with the plenary session. Thank you so much, everyone. We now move over to our first plenary session of the conference. And for this session, we have 3 very eminent resource persons. Let me please take this opportunity to introduce them to you all. Dr. Abdul Ghafoor. Dr. Ghafoor is an associate professor of language teaching at State Islamic Institute of Madura, Indonesia. As a senior lecturer in IAI in Madura, he has taught in Faculty of Education for about 17 years. He is also a PhD student of Muhammadiyah Malang University in Politics and Social Science. Along with that, he is also the editor-in-chief of Okara Journal of Language and Literature and is also the reviewer of several other journals in Indonesia. He is also the president of Indonesian Education to Care Volunteers, IES2C. He is also the head of academic writing and publication of Sebastra, Indonesia. Dr. Ghafoor received multiple honors from various institutes and organizations. The title of his talk is Teaching of English Language and Literature During the Pandemic. It is great to have you on board, Dr. Ghafoor. Professor Kirti Kapoor.
Bukan sedikit sejak awal itu sudah muncul itu.
Professor Kapoor, Fulbright
yang mau direview. Pikiran saya waktu itu.
Dr. Ghafoor, please allow me to introduce all the resource persons and then we'll move towards the session. Professor Kirti Kapoor. Professor Kapoor, a Fulbright Fellow, has 33 years of experience in the teaching of English language and literature. At NCERT, she has been working in the areas of curriculum, syllabus, and textbook development
evaluation, training, research, and consultancy. She has also led over 100 teacher training workshops across all stages of school education and has also trained teachers from Afghanistan, Tibet, and Mauritius on making ELT effective and learner-centric in their context. As a Fulbright Fellow, she is conducting research on multicultural education in USA. Professor Kapoor has presented over 90 papers internationally and nationally. The title of her talk is Cross Currents of Literature, Culture, and Language. We welcome you, Professor Kapoor. Professor Paula Perez Lopez. Professor Lopez is a highly qualified and esteemed English language and culture teacher and is also the director and owner of Yes English Institute, Mendoza, Argentina, that offers preparation for Cambridge University international exams. Professor also has a long list of publications to her name, which include 122 articles in the magazine Tintero in Los Andes newspaper, Mendoza, Argentina. The title of her talk is Redefining Styles of English Education. We welcome you, Professor. I would now hand over the session to Dr. KJ Varghese, convener of this conference from the Department of English, Christ College, Irinjalakura, Thrissur.
Thank you, ma'am. So today is the first day of our conference, and we have three distinguished speakers from across the world. Dr. Abdul Ghafoor is the first speaker, and he's from Ain University, Madura, Indonesia. And the second speaker, Professor Kirti Kapoor from NCRT, Delhi. And the third speaker, Professor Paula Perez Lopez from English Institute, Argentina. So here we had wonderful introductions about these three speakers. And our conference is on English literature, language, and cultural studies. So three of the speakers today will be deliberating on language education, specifically English language education. And we have another three speakers are speaking on literature and cultural studies tomorrow. So without much ado, let's move on to the first speaker. And I would request all the speakers to stick on to their timings. Okay, you have 30 minutes to speak. Maybe we can take questions for 5 minutes at the end. 5 minutes. And I would also request all others to mute your mic so that we will have a clear streaming of the event, especially on YouTube. And all our audience are on YouTube. So over to you, sir, Abdul Ghafoor, and I'm really happy that you're here because you have been a friend for a long time and a diligent researcher. So with all respect, over to you, Abdul Ghafoor, sir, for your presentation, the first plenary.
Yeah, thank you, my brother Varghese, for these invitations. Let me share my material first. Okay, is it okay?
And I would 1 second, see if Bhopal School of Social Sciences, if we could mute, it would be nice. I think the disturbance comes from that side.
Okay, sir, can you check now? Is it okay?
Professor, is it okay on the other side? Professor Ghafoor.
Dr. Kapoor, your screen is frozen and we can't hear you.
Yeah, that's
There
it.
seems to be some sort of technical issues. Could you please resolve it from your end?
Professor Gafu, we can't hear you. In fact, something wrong at your end, it seems. Professor Kafu, is it okay there on that side? Hello? We were not in a position to hear you.
Okay, here, it's okay.
I hope,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
clear? Yep. Okay,
Now it's clear, now it's clear. Okay, so you can start now.
okay. Well, teaching language and literature during a pandemic, it will be something that interesting for us for today's educations, yeah. Dealing with the educations that provide us knowledge of our society and environments and harness our skill to change them for the betters. I mean, the education this year also help us to develop our own perspective of looking at our life, prepares us to have our own point of view and form of our opinion in different phases of life. The education itself today is not the process of gaining information. Okay, we are going to discuss about this ones later. Okay, it is a little bit of my profiles. Okay, and the agenda for today, talking about the phase of education on teaching language and literature during the pandemics, and teaching and language, online teacher, and bring your own devices. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the phase of teaching language and literature during the pandemics, we are going to talk about 5 items that is very important for us. Talking about the school itself, the college, the universities, the teachers, lecturers, the students, parents, and also the government as a stakeholders. Since the beginning of 2020, we have been facing a crisis of enormous proportions. The COVID-19 pandemic has been wreaking havoc across the globe, including Indonesia, that upsetting our life and livelihoods. Therefore, all the enrolled students in school, college, and also universities in Indonesia have been unable to go their institution for almost a year due to the restriction imposed to check the spread the novel coronavirus since the middle of March 2020. This has hurt students immensely actually. When millions of young people have been urged to stay at home like the other members of their families, and when the education institution have remained closed, online education appears to be the only alternative to ensure the continuity of the education for the student itself. But in this case, the questions remain as to whether we were prepared to utilize the substitute means of providing education in our country without diluting the quality of education to be
Professor Gafoor,
Yep.
please, may I interrupt you? It seems
Okay.
you are still on your first slide,
Oh, I
on your
see.
introductory slide.
But in mine will be the second slide. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's you're still on the first slide. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, now it's moving.
Okay, this one.
Okay.
Okay. When focusing on teaching language and also the literature during the pandemic COVID-19, as I informed you just now, that the short answer to this question is we were not the standard online education is still of the reach of the many students in our school, colleges, and universities who have limited or no access to computers and internet connectivity at home. It is something that is very difficult for our students actually. I'm talking about how to teach a language and also literature in the pandemic, the COVID-19 that already done before. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the challenge will be come up in our mind that the teachers and also the digital competence, the COVID-19 crisis, the teachers should be demonstrate their commitment, flexibility, and creativity, and continue to do so. So it has also been noticed that in many cases there is only one 4G smartphone at that time. For example, only one 4G smartphone or smart device at home for many families, which would have to be shared by the earning members of the family. struggling to continue with their shrinking livelihood opportunities and also work from home. If it is possible, it is the thing that are very difficult for them in getting all the material in the language and also the letter itself. Could you think about this one? But we have to think about the language. We have to think about the communication. So how the teachers give them information on such kind of material that should be suitable with them. The children at home of various ages are left jostling for the only device in the family. After all, the pressures on the families is intense. The jobs are being lost and incomes cut. Okay, therefore, that most of young people in our country have been just staying at home for months without any formal education. Again, no formal education. But in this case, the teachers going to creative one how to share the material by using any kind of platform that's suitable for the student itself. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what should be done actually? Yeah, what can be done by the teacher when we're talking about the pandemic itself, with their need of the language, with the need of the lecture that should be delivered for them. The under circumstances, let us divert our attention from these bleak probabilities to what needs to be done at the earliest. First, we have must to at least that face-to-face interaction between teachers and students. Yeah, educate public financial resources, necessary arrangements, education institution. Teachers are sufficiently trained for offering online lesson using different digital platform. Proper method for assessing the quality of the learners itself, imparting online education. So in this case, it will be connect with the some kind of social and also emotional learning like empathy, attention, collaboration for any negotiation that should be asked by the teachers itself. It is impossible giving the material with this kind of condition. So in this case, the teacher itself should have such kind of good empathy for them, attention and also the collaboration itself. And yeah, it is something that are very difficult to include among the student without face-to-face classroom that should be jump up to screen teaching. Yeah, and we have to understand that when for any reason, be it a pandemic or any other unforeseeable reason, classroom learning is not possible online, learn education may be available alternative provided. The first one, educate public financial resource. It is located for providing access to online educational facilities, in particular for the students belonging to the economically weaker section in order to overcome the prevalent digital divide. And it will be talking about the necessary arrangement that are made, the necessary arrangement that are made for stable broadband facilities throughout the country for the quality online learning, along with provision of earlier broadcast technologies like radio, television, and also the smart devices for others. And the next one, educational institution. Educational institution not only in metropolises but also in the smaller town, in the district, in the suburban, that is, or rural and remote areas that are equipped with state-of-the-art on the ICT itself, information and communication technologies, the values for imparting the quality of online education itself. Teachers are sufficiently trained for offering online lesson. Yeah, it is something that is very, very important. That we have to say that not all the teachers have such kind of good skill with this kind of using on different digital platform. So we could say that for today's pandemic situation, it's something that is very, what's that? Disguise, blessing in disguise for the teachers. Why I say like that? Because they are forcing to study on the use of digital platform because of the pandemic itself. So for today's, there's so many kind of teachers, has such kind of enjoyable, interesting to use such kind of digital platform. And then proper method for assessing the quality of the learners itself. We think about how the assessing the quality of the learners that are developed and familiarized along both student and teacher. In this case, that the teachers and also the students should be understand enough with the platform that used by them. So it will be some kind of imparting online education. Ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants, now think about the quality itself. Okay, before we are talking about how to teach the language, how to teach the literatures, try to think about the quality that's already done by the teachers when they are using such kind of digital platform in this pandemic situation. The quality educations must fully assume its central role in helping people to judge more just, peaceful, and tolerant societies. Ban Ki-moon, General Secretary of the United Nations. Now take a look. There are some who argue that the truth of the quality education is met by focusing only on literacy and numbers, but that kind of the SDGs, that recognition that is the definition is insufficient of outdated, that education actually is not simply a content delivery system. Rather, it is a system designed to help all children reach their full potential and enter society as full and productive citizen. So in this case, the meaning of the quality education itself is one that is pedagogically and developmentally sound and educates the student in becoming an active and productive member of society. So as a teacher, we have to think about what kind of material, what kind of method that's suitable with our student, with all the situation, especially in the pandemic. So we have to think, we have to think the easiest media that could be applied with the process of teaching itself, so that our student will be easy enough to catch the material. Okay, so that the quality educations that provides resources and the direct policy to ensure that the child enters school should be held and learn about and practice a healthy lifestyle, learn an environment that is physical and emotional for student and adult. Okay. It is something that is very important for us before we are knowing the concept of the teaching itself. Now, take a look on the process of the teaching itself in our pandemic situation. Teaching a language. In this case, we have to think the language as a teaching material, and the second one, language as a literature. It is something that are quite different each other. When we think about the language as a teaching material, it means that we are going to teach any kind of item or material to them, that kind of the four skill that should be given for them, that kind of speaking, listening, reading, and also writing. In the concept of the pandemic, we have to think the easiest one, the easiest method that's suitable for them when they are stay at home, and also when they are use any kind of smart devices. Then language is a literature, what kind of smart devices that later that we could apply, that we could use to delivering our material. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now think about for the learners itself. When we think about the learners, we have to think, how the condition of the students, and the next one, the environment, the content, the process, and also the outcome. Okay, take a look on the first one, the learners. Okay, we think about the learners, we have to 5 items that should be known by them before we are going to study. Take a look on the healthy. Why we have to think about this one? Is it impossible for us to push them, to force them, giving our material without a good condition, well nourished, and they have to ready to learn? Okay, make sure that the students is ready enough to study with any kind of smart devices that suitable with them and also with their situations. And then the student ready to participate, supported in learning by learning families and also the communities. Okay, now physically healthy children learns well, healthy development in early childhood, adequate nutrition, and then this kind of element that go into making a quality of the learning itself. Make sure that the three kind of item here will be held by the student itself. Okay, next. Now we have to expand the development of the student's outcome first. Okay, the subject matters, the subject matter of major and general education curriculum. Okay, think about this one with this kind of condition, with the pandemic condition. We have to think what kind of subject matter that should be mastered by them. It is impossible to push any kind of material within the position of face-to-face learning and also screen-on-screen learning. Critical thinking abilities. Okay, in this case we have to think about what kind of material that guide them to think about the critical thinking. Such kind of give them such kind of a novel, such kind of prose and others, or maybe poetry. And then we direct them to think about what is actually the content of the novel itself, the poetry, and also other product of literature. In this case, we guide them knowing about apply such kind of thinking, dealing with critical discourse of language, critical discourse like that. Next, written, oral, and also interpersonal communication skill. Okay? Take a look on the understanding and appreciation and tolerance of diverse people and ideas. So this one will be something that make us easy enough for them to learn. Passing, passion for life, and long learning. We have to remember that when they are going to study, we have to make sure that they are ready enough to join with ours. Okay, next. Now talking about the teachers, I just way that the teachers is ready enough to entering the pandemic situations. As we know that not all these teachers around us, not all the teachers in over the globe, that are ready with this kind of pandemic. Only for them who know about the ICD, only them who know about the application, and only them who understand us how to use the platform that's suitable with their student. In this case, we have to think about the academical challenge experience. Okay, them or the teachers who has much experience with this kind of situation, they will be easy enough to collaborate with the student. Active and also collaborative learning, teaching in style, and then a talented, accessible, responsive faculty, enriching and diverse educational experiences. This kind of item that should be equals by the teachers. All this kind of item, the teachers should be masters. So they will enjoy the positions as a teacher in giving all the material for the students. Okay, now take a look on the indicators measure process. The first one, academically, that I already explained just now: active and collaborative learning, teaching style, talented, accessible, and also responsive faculty, enriching and diverse educational experience, a supportive campus environment. Okay, next, talking about this first one, academically training experience. So in this case, as a teachers, we have to prepare for the class, studying, reading, writing, reversing, and also other activities related to your academic program. In this case, by using any kind of smart devices, using any kind of smart device that is suitable for them. Ask the student to read any kind of material of reading that's suitable with the curriculum that already given. Okay, ask them to write. Okay, in the pandemic era, in the position of stay at home, there are so many kind of time that make them write. So in this case, the teacher should guide them by using a certain kind of theme, topic, and others, and then one by one they could write such kind of book chapter or such kind of small short story and others. Okay, a number of science textbook or books like part of the course reading, written, oral, and interpersonal skill. Such kind of this one by oral or interpersonal by using any kind of smart devices. They could give such kind of oral review, and then post their what's that? And that assignment also starts that already given by them. And then the numbers of written papers on report. Okay, as the teachers, it is something that is very difficult for us when we have to correct any kind of the papers that already given by the student. Okay, for the next one, academic challenging experience still in this one that the teacher should be have. Coursework emphasizing or synthesizing and organizing ideas that cannot information or aspiring into new, more complex interpretation and relationship. Coursework emphasizes making judgment about the value of information. Coursework emphasizes making judgment about agreement or method and others. The coursework emphasizes applying theories and concepts to a practical problem. Okay, next. Ask a question in the class as a teachers. Okay, as a teachers, when we are going to join with the class in online, ask the question in the class or contribute to the class. Give that kind of question or provide them with any kind of small talk. So in this case, the class will be active enough by using a method of class presentation. Okay, one by one, the student we give that kind of to review any kind of material or any kind of book or novel or poetry and others. Work with other students on project during the class. So in this case, the teachers, that's as an important thing. One, that given all thing, the material and also the theory dealing with how to analyze the worksheet and also the item of the literature itself. Okay, work with classmate outside of class to prepare class assignment by using any kind of indoor class and others. Okay, it is so many kind of item that teachers could be done by them. Then active and collaborative learning and teaching style. This one that should be done by the teachers. The first one talking about tutors or taught other students participate in community-based project as part of a regular course. Okay. So in this case, we try to give them a project. For example, we give them one novel, okay, and then try to analyze the item based on the authors, based on the plot, or based on the characterization and others. So in this case, the student will be understand enough how to analyze all the items that are already given by the student, by the teachers. I mean, discuss idea from your reading or classes with other or side or class students, family members, co-workers, and etc. Have more time to know a student on a learning condition. So in this case, when we are staying at home by using the pandemic condition, we have more time. Yeah, we have more time. 24 hours. We could join with our student by their smart device in their social media and others. Okay. No. A talented, accessibility, responsibility. Okay, receive prompt feedback from faculty on your academic performance within an oral. Okay, work or plan to work with the faculty members on the research project with the student and others. So it is so many kind of items that we could collaborate with our student dealing with this one. Such kind of small research to knowing any kind of literature project and others. Now, enriching and diverse educational experience, foreign language coursework, study abroad, independent study or sound design majors, cultivating external experience and others. Such kind of this one study abroad. For today's condition, by using the pandemic situation, we could study abroad by joining such kind of short course. For example, the platform Coursera that give us chance to study with so many kind of university that provide us for so many kind of material that's suitable with the teaching language and also literature. Continuous experience, for example, a comprehensive exam, capstone course, thesis, project, and others. Okay. A support camp environment. Of course, in this case, we are not alone. Okay, we are not alone. As a teacher, we are not alone. That should be that in this case, the campus environment provides the support you need to help you succeed academically. In this case, we have to think that the teachers and also the student will be supported by the faculty itself. The campus environment helps you to cope with your non-academic responsibilities, like work and family. Because the campus environment provides the support you the needs to thrive socially. quality of relationship with other students, faculty members, administrative personnel, and also advisors. Now, guiding principle for defining and achieving quality education as an online teachers. The first one, we have to use diverse processes to achieving outcome. Use diverse methods across access outcome and select processes. As a teacher, we have to be sure what kind of platform that is suitable for the student, that's suitable with the student condition, with the student atmosphere, with the student environment. It is impossible for us to push them, yeah, with such kind of platform that actually the platform the student could use or could apply in their area. Okay, it is impossible. The couple of processes yield evaluation and outcome model with current input, survey output, and then measures to maximize the benefit of these two kind of approaches. Okay. Characteristic of best online teacher. For the first one, as a language teacher, we have to be creative. Yeah, as a language teachers, we have to be creative. That we could use any kind of media around us. Around us will be a media actually. So in this case, as a teacher, we could use this kind of item to join with our student in delivering all the material. Yes, so should be fun. Why? Because we have in different rural area. Okay, in this, for example, in Indonesia, for me, the internet connection will be okay, but in my student there, it is not okay. So in this case, we start to give them some kind of joke and others, so that they are still interesting to joining with us, and also the patient one. It will be the characteristic that best online language teachers should have. And then in an online learning has some following features. Yeah. Okay.
Professor Kapoor,
Yep. Okay.
let me intervene. See, maybe you can wind up in 2 to 3 minutes. Is it
Yeah,
okay?
Okay. Two more slides, Professor.
Okay. Thank you.
And then utilizing electronics technology. Not all their teachers knowing about this one. Again, I have to remind you, not all teachers knowing electronics technology. So in this case, for 2 days, although we are staying in a 4.0 era, but not all students, especially the teachers, knowing about this one. Digital media and computer network, using autonomous material, utilizing the learning schedule, utilizing the learning curriculum. It is something that should be fulfilled by the teachers when they are going to apply in online learning that on this kind of pandemics. Okay, and next one. It will be the challenge in using e-learning in the pandemic. The first one, the unavailability of internet access, Wi-Fi, electricity, computer, personal computer, and other infrastructure that support the e-learning processes. Okay, the lack of the cheaper software. In this case, there are so many premium application that should be paid with so many kind of our money. Learners don't feel motivated enough because the student may end up feeling isolated and emotional disconnect because of the condition of connection that they are emotionally. It is something that's all that happen. Poor level of student engagement, lack of a classroom, such on teachers present the problem skill and also the knowledge. Okay, it is something that the challenge is that in using e-learning in the pandemic situation in Indonesia, or maybe in India, it will be with the same problem. Yeah. Finally, accessible build as a teacher of a language, as a teacher of language and literature. Try to bring your own devices. There are so many kind of devices, the smart devices that could be used by the teachers, phone and others. Okay. So many kind of social media platform that could push students' assignment, they could push students' worksheet and others. Okay, so that all the people around the world give some kind of comment and others dealing with their product of that. Okay. Yeah. Finally, thank you for the time given for me. I beg to my brother Fargis. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ghaffur, for that informative lecture. In fact, teaching English language and literature, especially during these trying times, is quite challenging for teachers. The students are, of course, digital natives, but many of our teachers are digital immigrants. So often that gap exists, and also because of the digital divide that our countries have, third world countries like India and Indonesia have. But our teachers, I should say, are doing their best to reach our students through these different technologies. Now, maybe for 2 minutes, we have already we are running short of the time. If there are questions, I think 1 or 2 questions. You can take just 1 or 2 questions. Maybe the whole thing should happen in 2 to 3 minutes. And uh, the floor is open for discussion now. Just 2 to 3 minutes. Then we'll go to next speaker, Professor Kirti Kapoor. Any questions, dear participants? And do you have any questions on YouTube? See, because most of our audience are on YouTube. And if there are any questions on YouTube, we will take that. Or else, I mean, the participants, the presenters here can also unmute themselves and ask questions to the speaker. Anyone? No questions? I think, sir, it was any questions from the participants here on Google Meet? So since there are no questions as far as YouTubers are concerned, or the people who are watching us on YouTube. Shall I then move on to the next speaker? So Professor Ghafoor, thanks a lot for that informative lecture. And it was clear that the role of teachers and the role of students, especially during the pandemic, when we are teaching our students through these latest technologies. Of course, all these are quite challenging, but I would ask everyone to take it as opportunities. Okay, because if not for this pandemic, we might have not come across so many new avenues of resources, so many new avenues. So naturally, maybe we can call it a blessing in disguise. And it is COVID which has accelerated this digital transformation of education. So thank you, sir. And as a living note, as far as this session is concerned, this the first speaker is concerned, I would say it's the human way that matters. We have a lot of soft ways and hard ways, but the human way, the individual teacher's ability to organize the class with available technology matters a lot. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Now we move on to our second speaker, Professor Kirti Kapoor, and she's from NCRT, New Delhi, a Fulbright Fellow and a dedicated educator. And the topic of her talk is cross currents of literature, culture, and language. Over to you, ma'am, for your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Verghese. I'll start the presentation. Okay, can you see my slides now?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear, okay. It's visible, and you're audible.
And I'm audible also.
Yes.
Thank you so much. First of all, before I begin with my presentation, I really want to thank Christ College and Bhopal School of Social Sciences for giving me this opportunity to be able to share my views on culture, literature, and language and how they are connecting. And also, I want to thank Shivani Basu, Dr. Shivani Basu, for so efficiently coordinating it. Now I begin with my presentation. The title of my presentation is Cross Currents of Culture, Literature, and Language. First of all, we must understand what is culture. Culture refers to a community of a group which shares common experiences that shape the way its members understand the world. So it's a common experience for a group of people. Their language, their artifacts, their rituals, their food, their way of dressing up, their way of addressing others, connotations, etc. So all these come under culture. To a cultural anthropologist, culture is neither obscure nor a residual. It is a social phenomenon that manifests itself quite clearly, even in the manifestations are not always easy to explain. So the way we behave, the way we talk, we are always, manifesting our cultural background, the way we have been brought up in that particular culture. That's always there. So that is the impact of culture. We need to first understand how we, define culture. Actually, people philosophers, anthropologists, educationists, thinkers started talking about culture in the late 19th century. Sir Edward Taylor in 1871 said that he wrote about culture or civilization, that culture is that complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, laws, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by a man as a member of society. Of course, at that time, human beings were referred to as man. And later in the 20th century, it was referred to as man, woman, and now we refer to everyone. So he's also here saying that our culture comprises our indigenous knowledge, our beliefs, our rituals, our arts, artifacts, morals, laws. Every culture has its own rules and regulations, our customs. You may add to the list. You see, the list can be further expanded. If the audience or the participants want to add the list in the chat, that would be really great. So we will have a comprehensive, understanding of culture at the end of the session. And these, denote a culture. And we all belong to some culture or the other. So therefore, and then studies went on in the 20th century, and 20th century cultural studies became a topic of you can say a subject by itself, and Kroeber and Kluckkorn try to define it, though it's very difficult to define culture because it's a very complex thing. And they said that it is transmitted by symbols. Now what are these symbols? Maybe language, maybe our arts, maybe our artifacts, right? So it is transmitted by symbols, and it has very distinctive features. Therefore we say different cultures. I belong to this culture, he comes from a different culture, so it has distinctive features. And of course they have also said that it embodies artifacts. The essential core of culture consists of traditional historical ideas, and especially their attached values. Of course we must not ignore values, because culture is very much connected to values with which it comes forward. Its values are depicted in its history, and it comes from their geographical locations also, their history, their artifacts. And these cultural systems may be considered as products of action, our behavior. And this behavior can be, influenced by the environment, the geography, the geographical area in which we are living, and maybe other elements also. So if we start defining, we can go into pages, because we have to add everything into it. So if we want to say in a simple language, we can say that culture is based on languages, the languages that we have, our commerce, because a particular group of people will indulge in their economic activities or commerce based on their geographical location, their historical background, their artifacts, their indigenous knowledge, their skills, etc., their policies, religions, social institutions, class values, status, attitudes, manners, customs, material items, and of course, education, which subsequently influences managerial values. So in 2006, in the 21st century, this particular definition was given by Kunango. So people all through, I should say it's been 100 years, more than 100 years, thinkers have been trying to talk about culture, and we need to understand it holistically. So what culture is? So what is our understanding right now? Culture is the system of shared beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, and artifacts that the members of society use to interact with their world and with one another. And that binds us together because we belong to same social values. We share same social values, and we understand each other's meaning, the language that they use, right? Now, culture shows itself in everything. It reflects itself in language, in literature, in performing arts, in verbal and non-verbal behavior of people. So we reflect our culture when we are speaking to others. And it is manifested, it is shown through our language and the literature of that particular region, and arts, artifacts. So that means culture encompasses everything, and it is the core of a particular group of people, a social group. So so we must understand the importance of culture. Why do we need to understand culture? For intercultural communication. We all don't belong to the same cultural groups. We come from different cultural backgrounds, isn't it? So therefore, we need to understand for having intercultural communication, because that is the need of the hour. We are living in a world global world. We are no longer living in small societies. We are sharing our languages. We are talking about multilingualism. We are talking about multiculturalism. So therefore, for intercultural communication, I think we need to understand each other's culture. Of course, at the same time, we need to understand the cultural differences that we have, and we need to appreciate that. We need to, overcome those biases, and we need to respect and understand different cultures can coexist peacefully. There is no need to have, stereotypes or biases, and then the communication will not be effective. So we can say that, each cultural group has unique strengths, right? And they have their perspectives that the larger community can benefit from. Therefore, understanding cultures, now I am talking about cultures, because we are living in a multicultural world, we are living in a global setting. So understanding cultures will help us overcome stereotypes, racial and ethnic divisions. We cannot work together if collaboration is one of the important skills of 21st century, that if we have these racial and ethnic divisions, we have to overcome that. We have to learn to respect that. And then when we learn to respect that, an appreciation of cultural diversity leads to equity and social justice. In the 21st century, we are talking about empowering everyone. There should be equity, there should be social justice for everyone. So therefore, we need to appreciate each other's culture, create space for everyone, and move on. So culture, if I, put in a very simple language, it refers to a particular group which has its own language, its own religion, cuisines, social habits, stereotypes, biases, music, and arts. Each aspect is important. I have added a few things over here, but you can continue with the list, and the list can become a complete list when everybody adds to it. And representation of different cultures in decision-making processes in order to make for programs or policies to be effective. So therefore, when we are talking about making policies, designing curriculum, developing textbooks, we try to give space to each and every culture, right? We try to give a story from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. And we try to, present it to the students that, we are diverse, and we must celebrate that diversity. And we must learn to appreciate it through stories, through poems, etc. And of course, culture, has been compared to onion. You peel one layer, and the second layer gives you something else, and then another layer gives you something else. These two I'm going to talk about. This is the basic one on the right hand side. Its values. That's the core values of a particular culture. Then comes the ritual. When you are, rituals are social. When from your individual self, from the family, you move to the social. And then, the culture celebrates heroes. Now, heroes means the people who take forward the culture, maybe the kings, the queens, or the politicians, or the thinkers, educationists. Now, with time, the connotation or the name will change. And then certain symbols. Now, symbols here is artifacts, etc., your art, your music, which you share with the other cultures, with the outer world. And of course, in the other circle, you see that it has been given in the language in which I have explained. Basic assumption, which is implicit. Then norms and values come. Then artifacts and products come, which are explicit, which showcase your culture. You see, we go to a different region, and their artifacts and their products, which they are selling in their market, they start showcasing their culture. But when you reach, it's very difficult to reach the core of another person's culture unless and until you communicate effectively with them. So that's culture. So therefore, we can say that culture is imbibed. It is shared. In today's world, it's very important to share your culture. It's dynamic. It's always on the move. Whatever cultural background we are from, if we look back, we have moved on. We are always imbibing certain values from other cultural groups, and we are moving on. It's dynamic, it's systematic, and it's symbolic also. So these are some of the features of culture. Now, of course, I will talk about connection between culture and literature. Each one of us is an ambassador of our own culture that we understand. Our cultural identity peeps through our personal as well as interpersonal behavior, both verbal and non-verbal. And at the same time, it is represented not only through artifacts, art, or history, it is represented through literature. So our experiences are rooted in culture. We look at things through that lens. We come across many stereotypes, and they get reflected in our literature and language. That is what literature is made of. If you look at literature, you go back to, when literature was being documented from oral literature, even oral literature. Each culture has its own oral literature, and that oral literature even today is used in our social functions. Let us take the example of our marriages or the birth of a child. You see, the songs or the rituals that are conducted that have been passed orally from one generation to another, but they have been documented in literature also. And when you start documenting in literature, you need language, and that language, that literature and language reflects culture. So now literature, let's talk about literature a little bit, and then I will connect literature, culture, and connection. Literature is also understood and interpreted in many ways. You see, earlier, we used to think that literature is only prose, poetry, drama, etc. But no, the definition of literature has also expanded. It comprises written and oral works like novels, poetry, drama that use words to stimulate the imagination of the reader and provide him or her with a unique vision of life. And if we try to connect culture and literature, literary writing is an expression of life through the medium of language, which is aesthetically pleasing. That is what we generally talk about literature. And it is a vital record of what writers have seen, experienced, and thought and felt. Ultimately, it's a response to life. And I am here trying to, quote Acharya Mammat in his Kavya Prakash. He specified 3 important characteristics of poetry writing. Here I am talking about literary writing, because at that time poetry writing was there. Everything was written in poetry. So these are poetic genius, that you have to be intelligent enough to understand that a minute study of people, objects, events, and of the works of great poets. So I have highlighted it for the participants that, literature reflected people, the objects around us, the environment, the nature. So environment can be interpreted in 2 ways, social and physical environment. The social environment is the people around us, and the physical environment is the environment that comprises nature. And of course, continuous practice of teaching of eminent scholars, that literary writing requires practice. So that's what he said. So when we say literature is epics, poetry, drama, novels, autobiographical, biographical writing, diaries, letter, essays, reports, journalistic writing. So literature is not only literary writing, but also journalistic writing, media writing, and also, if you want to buy a washing machine, you want to look at the literature. How to operate it, when was it designed, what are its features. So literature, the definition has expanded over time. Of course, now if we talk about the 21st century or the late 20th century, the themes of literature have changed. I'm not going back to the 19th or the 14th century. I'm not starting from Chaucer. Rather, I want to start from the 19th century or 20th century. The contemporary themes and issues have changed. We are talking a lot about gender equality. We are talking a lot about environment, because it is our concern. If we do not talk about environment, we are in trouble. The whole world will be in trouble. We are talking about equity and justice. We are talking about stereotypes, because, and you will find that in many writings, the stereotypes were also reflected. Here I would like to give you an example of James Baldwin and Ralph Ellison. Ralph Ellison's Go Tell It, James Baldwin's Go Tell It on the Mountain, and Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man talk about white and black stereotypes. And it was a great study. And these books were written in 1950s. And after that, we have seen a revolution, that how stereotypes were, were questioned. And now, of course, we see that, that wall is breaking. Then literature is believed to have the power to raise questions and debates, provide new points of view, and let the readers expand their understanding of their world around them, and then reflect the culture and life of people of that place. I have given you the example of American literature, Black literature, but we can have examples from our Indian literature also. So here I would like the participants to add in the chat box the literature or the stories or the novels which they think is reflective of our culture. So I think another task for you participants, you can put it in the chat box. And literature reflects the life of the people at that place, and it is creative, and it is a global form of expression, because we read world literature, and some of the literature has been translated from different languages to English, so that people world over can read it, because that literature has value, and we can even today connect it to the real world, connect it to our own context. So it addresses our emotional, spiritual, and intellectual concerns, and it is a rich source of authentic material. And we have always been talking about that, we should, so far as education is concerned, we should use authentic materials, the kind of language that is used. It should be aesthetic, and it should reflect different aspects of society, because literature, if it does not lead to thinking, that means it is not good. Now, cultural documents which offer a deeper understanding of a country or other countries. Now I come to the role of language. Of course, There is oral literature, there is written literature, but language plays an important role. Because language is an inherent part of every culture, whether oral or written. There are many tribals in our country, tribal communities in our country who do not have the scripts, but they have oral literature. They have, and their literature is very rich. So language plays an important role. Why? As a means of communicating values, beliefs, customs, language has an important social function and fosters feelings of group identity and solidarity. Language, puts us together, brings us together. We identify ourselves with the same language group because we can communicate. Of course, these days we talk about multilingualism. Multilingualism means in education, we need to create space for everyone's language. Then role of language, it also means that, cultures and traditions have shared values and language is fundamental to that. And of course, we use language for communication. Now, culture and language. It is the way by which people communicate with each other. They build relationships. They create a sense of community. And communication is the core component of any society. And language is an important aspect of that. I think we should keep that in mind. So culture, language. And then, of course, through language and culture, we are depicting ourselves through literature. And now let's talk about culture and language. Culture and language are linked. You can't understand a culture without first learning a language. A specific language is usually associated with a particular group. Language is learned, which means it cannot be culturally transmitted. We learn the language from the environment. Now, literature and language. Literature as a means of authentic source can help develop use of language and its enrichment. We always tell our students, read good literature that will help you develop your language skills, reading, writing, listening, and speaking also. Because when you read, you come across new words, new expressions, new way of seeing things. So that is helping you develop your spoken as well as written skills. A literary text provides students with a clear idea about the syntactic structure of a written text and how far the written language differs and shapes from the spoken language. Of course, all of you know that, spoken language differs from written language, and we need to keep that in mind. Now, culture, literature, and language. The relationship between language and literature and culture is so strong that, to the extent that a change in one ultimately affects the other two. I think all of you appreciate